there. Allow me to interrupt you just a little bit. I'm informed that we are supposed to go to Parliament. Abdiaziz Hashim is on standby to give us the views of Kenyans on these matters of State of the Nation address. Abdiaziz?
Well, Kiptum, we are coming to you live from Parliament buildings once more. Of course, we are talking about the state of the nation, various key sectors that the president is looking at and what they have been able to achieve. You do know that Parliament plays a very critical role in oversighting the national government. That's why joining me right now is Mr. Timothy to just tell us, given that they were with the president at State House Nairobi, what are the issues as the legislators they raised with the president? Mheshimiwa, let's start off with the cost of living issue. You are with the president. What pointers did you give to the president so that when he comes here, he'll come with solutions?
Now, we admit that we've had challenges as a government for the last 1 year since our office. But we also understand that some of the issues that we've had in this government are issues that were inherited. We had a government that was almost collapsing. We had a problem with the handshake regime that was led by Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. But I know that we have challenges as a government. But when we were in State House, the president assured us and reassured us that as a country, we are in the right direction. And he was very clear. He said, we may be unpopular in the first 2 years of this government, but the changes he is making is going to the foundation of economic prosperity of this country. Remember, even when Kibaki came in, he came in when he inherited a lot of challenges that was occasioned by the Kanu regime. But when Kibaki took over, he was unpopular for the first 2 years. But he made certain radical changes that ensured that the country was in the right trajectory. And the economic model that was initiated by this government, of course, it was bottom up. But it didn't mean that we would now, the change was instant. Because one, look at the issue of agriculture. There was the issue of this country was used to what called the consumption subsidy,
yes,
where there was a subsidized consumption of products were subsidized. But the president came up with something called production subsidy. One, reducing the cost of fertilizer. And he said at the end of it all, even if we reduce the cost of food products through subsidies, at the end of it all, we will not achieve as a country. But he said, let us look at the issue of production subsidy. Let us reduce the cost of fertilizer so that at the end of it all, we harvest, because last year we harvested around 44 million bags of maize. Yes. But this time round, we are projecting 65 to 70 million bags of maize, meaning that the cost of food prices will come down because of increased productivity in our farms. And that is one of the key issues that we discussed in State House. Yes. But most importantly, it was a reassurance. And even today's speech by the president, it will be reassuring the nation that at some point, it may not be easy, that Rome was not built in a day. But what we are now doing is we are assembling the materials for building Rome. And I'm sure that in the next 3, 4 years, 5 years, this economy will be headed in the right direction and will be headed to economic prosperity.
Yeah. But Mheshimiwa, you also raised the issue of the fuel prices, which has been hiking, and you even heard what Davis Churchill, the Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary, alluded to before the bipartisan committee. The issue of fuel, Kenyans are watching you right now. Yeah. It is the parliament that passed the Finance Act that raised the VAT 8 to 16%. Maybe as parliamentarians, are you considering to even lower it down so as to address the issue of the cost of fuel?
I agree, my brother, that the economy is hurting. Yes. That fuel prices determines almost all facets of our economy. And when fuel prices are high, then it will affect almost all areas of production. And it is an issue that we discuss. And we are very candid with the president. We told the president, yes, we are your members of parliament. We support you in parliament. But Kenyans are not happy with the high cost of fuel. And we agreed that, you see, the president was very candid. He said, you see, members, the issue of fuel prices is not a Kenyan issue. It is an international issue. The war in Ukraine and Russia has affected the cost of international crude, international fuel. And that is why there is the impact has come down to Kenya. And we agree that we will sit down. We shall review the Finance Act in the next financial year, and we see whether we can be able to look at if the reduction in tax, VAT tax on fuel, then we should look at it as Parliament with an intention of lowering the cost of fuel, because we cannot afford as it is, and Kenyans are hurting. And we agree that we must take deliberate measures so that we can be able to reduce the cost of fuel. Yes.
And Mheshimiwa, given that finally we know that the supplementary budget is here with the members of Parliament, I know you have picked into that particular supplementary budget. Are there alleviations there for Kenyans who are watching you right now? You can tell them.
We are still discussing the issue of supplementary budget, and we are looking at a way of trying to lower the cost of living. But we were very categorical that we will not introduce subsidy, because remember we are currently repaying a lot of we are repaying 67 billion shillings that was occasioned out of the subsidy. So as a country, we shall look for a way that we shall be able to revise our supplementary budget so that we cut down on certain expenditures. Remember, even for the issue of foreign travel, the president said we cut it by almost to 30% or 20%, so that money can be used to inject into the economy for some economic prosperity. So as Parliament, we shall be critical in the supplementary budget to make sure that some of the issues that are input there are meant to alleviate the suffering of Kenyans insofar as the cost of living is concerned. Yes.
And Mheshimiwa, kindly don't leave. We want to converse with you more. That is just a tip of the iceberg of what the legislators will be talking about. Especially this is Mheshimiwa Timothy is talking about the agriculture sector and how we need to reintroduce the manufacturing sector. We do know that it was currently at 9% and it has been lowered all the way to 7%, and it's something that this administration has been tapping into. Of course, you heard from the president clearly stating a while ago that we need to stop even the importation of maize, that 2024 will be the last time Kenya will be importing maize into the country, and by 2025 Kenya will be producing those particular maize from our farmers so that it can be beneficial to the agricultural sector and of course in terms of food security. We're currently talking to a host of legislators. Once we do get a hold of them, we'll be coming to you. Lining up next will be KSS Member of Parliament, who will be just speaking to in just a moment. But for now, I need to hand you over to Betty Kiptum to carry on with the conversation.
Thank you very much, Abdiaziz Hashim. They are coming to us from Parliament buildings. And of course, ahead of the State of the Nation address, the